Hi, this is Trinesha and today I wanted to talk about Predicated. So I know you're probably thinking, what is making her do a video called Predicated? So earlier today I was listening to this sermon and it was talking about stepping into your purpose. It was talking about doing all of the things that God intended for you to do and how sometimes we can doubt ourselves and we can feel like, okay, maybe God made a mistake putting this on me for me to do. Maybe God chose the wrong person, the wrong woman, the wrong man to see this out. Maybe God, when he placed this on my spirit, maybe he didn't really mean that this was for me. And it's so funny because I felt this way when I met certain people in my life and I would meet like a nice person or something else and I would feel like, okay, God, obviously, sorry to roll my eyes in the video, but that's literally how I felt in that moment. I was just like, yeah, okay. Like this person's actually going to be a decent human being who's a nice person who might be interested in me. I was just like, yeah, right. Like, and God's like, listen, either you're going to accept my blessings or you're not. Either you are going to accept the purpose that I've given you, or I'm going to give it to somebody else who actually will do something with it. And sometimes we forget and we think that we just got all this time, all the time in the world, especially when we give our life to God. We're just like, well, we gave our life to God. That's it. If that's all you want, that's all you're going to get. But I hope you understand that God can do exceedingly and abundantly above all else that you could ever ask, think, or imagine. So while you are trying to give yourself the bare minimum because you feel like that's all you deserve, God is telling you that he has so much more for you. Sorry, I just finished eating, so I'm kind of like, oof. That's why I don't have as much hype as I usually do because, it's something about that itis. And so I just was really feeling like, oh man, honestly, honestly, I just, can I be real? I just really have been feeling like on pause with God. I've been really feeling like I'm in this waiting season for forever. And it's not about, being in a relationship or being in a certain place. It's really just, it feels like for me, because I know what my purpose is. I know that I want to help people. I know I want to be intentional. I know I want to be serving. And I just don't know how that's going to happen. I don't know how to make it happen. And I know I can't make it happen. I know that's something that God makes happen. And I could find myself like questioning myself or like second guessing myself, like, should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? And sometimes God will say, just rest. And I'm like, okay, but I'm resting and it's making me like anxious a little because I'm like, of course we're not supposed to be anxious for anything. And so I'm just feeling like I'm almost breaking every rule of the Bible in this pause waiting season because I don't want to settle. I want to make sure that I'm turning to God. I want to make sure I don't go back I turn from my wicked ways. I want to make sure that I'm not like, you know, going into like whatever it is that my flesh wants or my desires want. I want to make sure that I am doing the things that God wants me to do. And it's something about that pause season. It really starts making you go like a little like this, like what was behind you, the things from your past that you used to do, the things that you used to find exciting or enjoyable, the things that you used to think were like good or whatever else. You're just like, but maybe I can like dip my toe in the pool. And the guy's like, there's no toe dipping on this end. Like you either are out or you're in. You know what I'm saying? And so, so I really, every time I get a moment, I really have to pray. I really have to get in my word. I really have to think about what the repercussions of those actions are going to be. If I decide to do these things, if I decide to eat, glutton and just eat a whole bunch of food and just feel miserable after, you know, how in the long run, how is that going to help my body? In the long run, or even short term, once I finish eating, am I going to feel as fulfilled as I think I will when I'm about to eat it? When I am, doing whatever else in life, I need to make sure that I'm thinking about what the repercussions of all of my actions are. because now that I've rededicated my life to God, I can't just make those types of choices in my life anymore. I can't just go around doing whatever I want whenever I want. I can't just go around making all of these horrible decisions thinking that it's not going to be like any repercussions for my actions. God is definitely going to make sure that you have discipline in your life and make sure that you are being disciplined in the right way so that you can make better choices for your life. And so it's funny because I will meet certain people, and I know it always goes here, but I feel like it's I feel like it's relevant because it will help other people who are in the same position as me. And so I'll meet people, and oh my goodness, like this is such a blessing. I'm not complaining at all. And it's like the discernment is so on point. It's like the first conversation, I'm like, okay, we are so unequally yoked. I'm just like, and it's funny because my friends always get on me and they're like, you're just so hard on these guys. And I'm like, I'm not trying to be hard on them. I just know what I want. And I refuse to settle for anything less than God has for me. I can't just be with anyone just because I'm single, like, and single is not a disease. I have to keep saying that because they'll I said it in one video, but for people who didn't watch that video, I will have like certain people come up to me and they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, you're single?" Like as if I'm on like my D bed or something, and I'm just laying there with like a few hours left, and they're just I'm like, "Are you okay?" But yeah, they really do that. And I'm just like, I'm fine. I mean, I have moments where I get lonely. That's just me being real because people will try to pretend like, oh yeah, I got it going on. I got this job and this car and this house and I got all of these things and I have family and friends and all of that is a complete blessing. I'm not diminishing that at all. I'm just saying that some people will pretend as if loneliness doesn't exist when you're single. And I'm not saying that just because I feel lonely, I want to be in a relationship either. I'm saying I want to be with the person God graced for me. I'm just saying that I do have moments like that as well. And sometimes I think that when we get to like these empowering videos, the videos where people are speaking life into people, or the videos where people are trying to motivate or help other people, we kind of show one side of it, like just the all positive, like, oh yeah, you could do it. This is great. Everything's going to be okay. And I say those things, but I also keep it real because I know that real life happens. I know that we all emote. Women, men, boy, children, whoever it is, we all emote. So we all have emotions. We all feel the feelings. Like we need to be real about it. And the sooner you acknowledge your feelings, the sooner God can keep you moving forward. The sooner you can keep on going on the trajectory that God set forth for you, on the path that God laid forth for you. And you can't do that if you are lying to yourself. You can't do that if you're putting on a front, like we used to say back in the day. You can't say that if you are just front and pretend. Why am I using all of these early 2000s like lingo things? I mean, sayings and things. But anyways, in order for you to really truly prosper in your life, you have to be real with yourself. You have to be real when something hurts you. You have to be real when you're happy about something. You have to be real when you're angry. You can't just pretend like, oh no, I'm Christian. I don't get angry anymore. Listen, I would like to pretend like I never feel annoyed ever again for the rest of my life. But I do get annoyed. I do get irritated. Sometimes I'm not happy. That's just life. And I can't sit here and pretend like I just smile every single day and I don't have any real life issues. Like every single person you see has real life issues and things that they're going through. And so I think it's important for us to really do some self reflection and to acknowledge the fact that, hey, life is going to happen. And you don't have to always be on it, on it, on it. Sometimes you need a moment to compose yourself. Sometimes you need a moment to be in that sadness, to be in that anger, to be in that happiness. Well, usually it's the negative ones. The happiness, just let that thing ride. But, but yeah, sometimes you need that moment. Like I had a moment earlier, just being real. And I was just like, God is telling me to do this thing. And I could really feel the spiritual warfare just pulling on me hard. I could feel the cynicism in my head trying to like come back up. Like, mm-mm-mm. I was going to say that, but it's going to sound disgusting. So I'm not going to use that analogy. But it's real. It's real. Like, real life really happens. And like I've said in one of the other videos, I had a lot of things taken from me recently, and I didn't expect that to happen. I expected, things to go a certain way in my life. I expected to be with certain people in my life. I expected for things to be in my life. Like, I expected all of these things, even though life is unexpected. Even though life is full of things that we can't control. I really did expect certain things in my life because I felt like I really expected that old relationship for me to be with that person for the rest of my life. I really expected for the job that I had in the past, for that to be the job that I would be working now. I really expected, I just expected. I'm not going to name that one because I don't want to start crying. But, if you're one of the women who you expected to be preparing for something in your house and you didn't get the opportunity because that's no longer an option. Life is just so full of all of these unexpected things, and we can never prepare for it. You know, someone could tell you that's going to happen, but there's no way that you can really prepare for life. You can try to do the best that you can. You can read your scripture. You can pray. You can turn to God. You can read every book that's out there. But none of those things are going to tell you how you will feel when life hits you. None of those things are going to make you not feel that emotion when life is happening to you. And I want to be the type of person who's on this video while God is allowing me to be here and telling me that I should be here to let you know that every day is not going to be rainbows and butterflies, that everything is not always happy go lucky. Sometimes life sucks. Sometimes life happens. And it's important to feel the emotion and let it go. I felt it earlier and I just felt like I was in a mood for real. Like, uh, whenever I get like that, I'm just always trying to talk to myself like, hey, get it together. You got things to do. You got a daughter. You got life to live. You got so many other things depending on you. You can't. And I'm like telling myself I can't feel that emotion, but I have to check myself and realize, hey, you are not going to just not feel anything ever in your life. You're not just going to be able to just be on it every single day, all the time. You have to give yourself a moment because putting that much pressure on yourself is not conducive for a healthy, constructive, life. It's not going to be something that is going to allow your life to be beneficial if you are just hiding how you really feel, if you're just pretending to be happy. What I want for the people who watch these videos is for you to truly have joy in your life and peace. I don't just want to say a couple words and you feel good while you watch this video and then you click off of it and you feel as crappy as you did before this video started. I want you to feel the passion that I have for speaking life into other people. I want you to feel like God has got this, that everything is going to be okay. I want you to start learning how to speak life into yourself, to know that everything is going to be okay because God got you. I want you to speak over yourself that you are the head and not the tail, that you are above only and not beneath, that no weapon formed against you shall prosper, seen or unseen. I want you to know that you're beautifully and wonderfully made, that God's plans are to prosper you and never to harm you. I want you to realize who you are, that you are more than a conqueror. I want you to really, I don't care if you have to rewind that 5 times to hear it over and over again. I don't care if you have to, I used to do this thing when videos would come on and I would hit the record on my phone. And when it would get to that part, I would hit record and I would record that part that really spoke to my soul. And I would pause it. And every time I had a moment of weakness, every time someone tried to bring me down, every time something didn't go the way that I planned, every time something happened in my life that made me feel like I couldn't do it, that made me feel like I needed to stop going towards my purpose, that I needed to stop pushing for it, that I needed to give up. Every time I felt like that in life, I would play that recording over and over and over again until I believed it. because that's what we have to do sometimes. The cynicism, the negative thoughts are constantly playing over and over again. So in order for you to combat those things, in order for you to be able to go against those things, to be able to just change it into a positive, you're going to have to use that same energy. You are going to have to probably even use a little more energy. You replay that as many times as that negative thought is replaying in your head, and then add 2 more times. Add 2 scriptures if you need to at the end of that. Replay it and then add 2 scriptures. Every time you think of a negative thought, start counting it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I got to play this 5 times. Play it 5 times. Do the 2 scriptures. Or say 2 more things. Or do something that you love that really brings you joy, brings you true joy. When I dance offbeat, it brings me so much joy. I don't know why. I like have a little tiny bit of rhythm, and I love to dance. And so when the song comes on and I start dancing, it's like all of the worries that I have, everything that's going on in my mind, everything that's coming at me, all the things that didn't work out the way that I wanted them to are leaving me. You know, it's like releasing that energy back out instead of keeping it bottled in. And I feel like that's what we all need to do. We all need to be able to take a moment and really just acknowledge that, hey, we feel this way. Know that those negative thoughts and things are not going to go away. I know people in videos and stuff try to say, oh, just think of this. Now all of a sudden, you can control your thoughts, so you'll never think a negative thought again. That's not realistic. You're going to think negative thoughts sometimes. And for people that have really, really like serious issues, please contact a therapist. Like, don't just try to do this and then think that you can handle it on your own, because sometimes we really try to do everything alone, thinking that we are the only ones who can handle this thing. Like, sometimes in my life, I don't like to ask for help on things because I just feel like I want to do it by myself. And God really has been checking me a lot in the past year. Like, listen, nobody does it alone. Everybody needs somebody. And so whether that's a therapist, a life coach, a really trusted family member, friend, whoever it is, you need to make sure that you reach out to them and you need to tell them what's really going on. Stop trying to be brave for other people, because people that care and love you want to see you prosper. They want to see you win. They don't want to see you upset and sad and having to deal with it alone. You know how many people have family members, that something happened to, and they're just like, I wish they would have come and talked to me. But a lot of times, people like that don't feel like they have anybody to talk to. And it's not that you're making it difficult. It's not that they don't think that you couldn't be there for them. It's that they thought that they could really handle it by themselves. And in this life, I promise you, you don't have to do anything alone. There is always someone there who is willing to listen to you. You just have to take the time and know that, hey, it's not a weakness for you to ask for help. It's not a weakness for you to reach out to somebody when you really, truly need support. When you really, truly need somebody, it is okay to ask for help. For real. I had to say it like that because I know some people are like, but I just don't want to bother this person. They got all of these other things going on. Listen, if they knew that you were really struggling like that and they love you, they want to hear from you. I promise you that. They don't want you to just feel like you have the weight of the world on your shoulders that you have to carry alone. Nobody who loves you wants to see you struggle in that way. I used to, back when I was in high school, I used to really feel like I had to do everything by myself. I had a very supportive family. Don't take it that way. Very supportive. And I still felt alone. I felt like nobody could understand what I was feeling. Nobody could understand how I felt, how angry, how, upset, how, just heartbroken or disappointed or whatever was going on in my life. I just felt like no one would get it. No one would want to hear from me. No one would understand or listen to what I had to say. No one cared, what I had to say or what I was going through because I was just a teenager. I just, I haven't even lived a life yet, so, I just felt like, who am I going to really talk to that's going to really hear me? Because most of the times when you say things when I was that young, now it's different because, emotional health is so important and going to a psychologist is more normal, so don't feel like you can't do that now. You could totally do that now. And I probably could have done it then, but there was this like negative stigma with counseling and all this other stuff back then. And so I was just like, what am I going to do? Who would even listen to me? Like ever since I was younger, the adversary has always put in my mind, like, who is really going to ever listen to you? That's like the thing that he would constantly say from as far back as I could remember. Who will listen to you? And it really made me feel alone. It really made me feel like I couldn't reach out to anybody. It really made me feel like I had to take on the weight of the world by myself. It made me feel like whenever something disappointed me, whenever I was hurting, whenever I was sad, I had to just eat it. I had to just take it alone. I had to sit there and suffer in silence, you know, and that's not true. You don't have to do that. That's just the adversary telling you that you have to do that. That means that the purpose that God placed on you is so big that he can't imagine not being able to stop you. He can't imagine not being able to stop you. When you are really graced for something like that, when God really placed a purpose on you, the adversary will do anything to stop you. And I mean anything. He has been literally trying to stop my purpose since I was little, since the first incident, since the first thing, and on and on. And every time I would get a little bit of strength, he would do something to try to break me every single time. And his methods have not changed. Still the same old, same old. And now he does it in a different way. He does it with relationships or people that I meet. He does it with jobs. He does it with things like that. And it will be something, and I feel like so just like, what's the point? Like, he gets me to the point where I feel like, what's the point? And then I had to look around. I'm going to try so hard not to cry. But I really had to take a moment. And I had to look around at my daughter. I have to look around at the people in my life who are really struggling. I have to, when I see that woman in the store or I go somewhere and they stop me and they say, and this is so funny. This is like how God really works in your life, because I really feel I really have like a few people on my social media. It's not like I'm like blowing up and I got thousands of millions of people or anything like that. I literally have like a few people. And so I have like however many friends, but I have a few people that will like the post or, share or something like that. And I appreciate everything those people do, because one is enough. But listen, nobody will be on my page. Let me tell you, nobody will be on my page. And there will be women that come up to me in the store or when I go different places, and they will say, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much for posting this." And I do like words of inspiration that I put on there every day. And I do like on Sundays, I do this outfit of the week thing or whatever. And it's like a snip of what happened at church, because I know not everybody goes into the church building. And if I learn something, I feel like it could be beneficial to other people, I try to share it. And so when I'm on there, I really try to speak from my soul. Like if it's something that I felt in my soul, it's something that God spoke to me. If I'm hearing a sermon and the pastor says something and I feel it in my spirit, I share that part of the message. And so I am, I'm sharing this stuff thinking, okay, well, I just want to serve. I'm not even thinking it's helping people. Like, of course I want to help people, but I'm just thinking about just serving. I'm just thinking of being obedient. I'm just thinking of just doing something consistently, being consistent, because that's what I want in my life, is a consistent person, consistent friends, consistent family members, consistent romantic partner eventually, And so I try to be the things that I would want someone else to be for me. And so I will post stuff like this, and there will be that one person that comes up to me in a store and they're just like, oh my gosh, you have no idea. I know. You have no idea how much this has helped me. They'll say the things that they were struggling with, and some of them like literally are in tears when they come up to me. And they're just like, I thought that I was alone. And that's my main goal, is to make sure that women and men know that they're not alone, mostly women. But I'm not saying I'm discriminating against men. I'm just saying they literally say, I really felt like I was alone and I was going through this by myself until I saw you post this. And when you posted it, it gave me hope. And it made me really think about my worth. And when I talk to them, I know that I can't give up. Even when it seems insignificant. Even when it seems like nobody cares. Somebody cares. Somebody needs you. Somebody needs the words that you're speaking. Somebody needs the skill that you have. Somebody needs you in their life. Because you might feel like your life is insignificant or you're insignificant, but I can promise you that you're not. I promise you that everything that God placed on the inside of you for you to do, you can do. You are the only thing stopping you. The adversary can't even stop you. All he can do is add distractions and try to steal, kill, and destroy the things that God placed upon the inside of you to do. That's all he can do. He can never stop it. That's why he is fighting so hard against you. That's why you feel the spiritual, psychological, and emotional warfare so much. That's why you feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. That's why you feel like it seems like one thing after another. And sometimes life just happens. But you know what I'm talking about. The reason why you feel so strongly like I'm all alone is because the adversary wants to make you feel that way. You are not alone. You have family and friends that really do love and care about you. Even if you don't get that job, God will make a way out of no way. Keep applying. Keep doing all of the things that God placed on your heart for you to do. And eventually you will have the thing that you needed to have. You don't have to be anything but you. You don't have to do anything but the things that God intends for you to do. If you stay focused on God, the right side of my nose is itching. Like, it's so weird. And I know y'all are like, what in the world is she doing? Listen, I don't know. It's so crazy. Anyways, stay focused on God. The reason why the adversary is working so hard is because what God placed on the inside of you is so powerful, it can change the world. And I know some people are like, really? Change the world? Listen, I'm about to change the world. And you can too. I can't allow any man. I don't care how fine they are. I don't care how perfect they seem. If they're not, I can't make someone like me. They either like me or they don't. They either want this. Why did I say it like that though? Or they don't, So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And it could suck. I'm not just going to sit here and be like, oh, it is what it is. Oh, I got it going on. Listen, it sucks. But life still goes on. We still have things that we have to do. The adversary could send whoever he wants. He could try to break my heart as many times as he wants to. He could make me feel a certain type of way about any type of situation. He could bring people in who are trying to break me daily. But you know what he didn't expect? He didn't expect me not to give up. He didn't expect me to stay focused on God. He didn't expect me to pray to God to remove any type of distraction from my life. He didn't expect for me to still be praising God even with the heartbreak. He didn't expect for me to be reading and serving people. He thought that I was going to run to, you know, and this is not to offend anybody, but he thought I was going to run to alcohol. He thought I was going to run to sex. He thought that I would run to whatever else it is that's out there that could distract me from my purpose. He thought that I would just run to some other person. I don't know what. I'm just coming up with things in my head. But he thought that all of these things that have been thrown at me was going to make me turn my back on God, and it's not going to. There is nothing. I don't know how many times I have to say this, and I'm about to get to clapping. But there is nothing that is coming between me and my relationship with God. Not at all. I might be sad, but I still have joy. Everything might not be going the way that I expected it to, but it's going exactly the way that He planned. I might not have the things that I want in my life, but I will have it one day. It might not seem like everything's going to work out, but I know a God who will make a way out of no way. I know a God who could do exceedingly and abundantly above anything that I could ever ask, think, or imagine. I know that God is my bridge over troubled water. I know that I am more than a conqueror. And there's nothing that the adversary could do to stop God, because God created everything. So if you, in conclusion, don't allow your response to be contingent on somebody else's apology or someone else's reaction or what it is that somebody else does, because you have to continue to be you. You have to continue to have faith in yourself, even when it seems impossible. You have to be real with yourself and feel the emotions that you feel, and not feel like you have to be strong even when you're weak, because God's your strength when you're weak. He's there for a reason. Call on Him. Call the therapist, call the life coach, call the family member, call the friend, call somebody, because they care about you. I know sometimes it may feel like everybody has their own life going on and you don't want to bother them, but listen, they would rather have a phone call from you when you are really struggling than for you to stress yourself out and end up in the hospital somewhere. You know, they would rather for you to come to them than to have you ever have to deal with something like that on your own. And for the women out there who are single, I know I say this a lot, but I feel like I could say that because I'm single and, we here, you know what I'm saying? And so even though it may seem like hope is gone, or it may seem like every single situation isn't the situation or isn't the relationship, every single person doesn't seem like the right person, even though it seems like things don't work out the way that you would want them to, even though you haven't met the person, or maybe you may have met the person and you just didn't know that was the person. No, I'm not going to do that. But, but listen, do not lose faith. Do not grow weary in doing well. Continue to serve. Continue to be intentional. Continue to be in your purpose. Continue to seek God, because God will provide all your needs. That person who just left is not the best that God has for you. And I don't mean better like one person's better than the other. I have to say that. I mean that there's people who are more grace for you than others. And so while you think that this is what you should have in your life, God will give you exactly what you need. You might not need somebody who doesn't appreciate quality time. You might need someone who really will appreciate the time that you get to spend with them. You might not need somebody who buys you several things but doesn't respect you. You might need someone who actually respects you. You might think that, oh, this person seems like a good person, but they might not even be a good person. That might just be their representative, like TG says. So what I do And even when I don't even know what's going on in my situation right now. Like, I have no idea what's happening in my life. For real. Like, I'm being obedient to God, and I'm a little hesitant, just to be real, in some areas. And it's not because of God, it's just because of myself, because I have to like continuously be like, look, girl, you got this. You got to keep going. Like, I have to keep hyping myself up so I can continue on in this journey, because some days I just be like, whew, I just want to lay in, and God's like, get up. And I'm like a like a vampire or something. But listen, but listen, even when I don't know how things are going to turn out, I know God is looking out for he's doing everything for my good. He's working everything out for my benefit. And so it's so funny. Whenever something goes wrong in my life, I'm like, thank you, God. I don't know what I'm thanking God for, but I know that whatever happened, the reason why it happened is for a benefit for me. I know God did not remove anything from my life because it would have been something that prospered me. If it was something that was going to add to my life, if it was something that was going to be fruitful, God would never remove it, because he is not a spiteful God. He is not a God of lack. And if God removes anything from your life, it's because he's going to give you exceedingly and abundantly above all else that you could ever ask, think, or imagine. The things that God is going to give you is going to be of abundance. And so you feel like this little thing, like this, you gave up $100 and you're like, oh my gosh, I really needed $100. And God's like, give it up. You give up $100 and the next day you make 1,000 because you poured into something that God told you to. And the whole while you thought that $100 was a lot of money. Now you're making $1,000 a day. Like, you just, we really underestimate God. And I know better than to underestimate God, because I know that he has always come through for me. And sometimes it doesn't seem like it's going to work out. Sometimes it doesn't seem like everything's going to be fine. But I still praise God in the meantime. In between, while I'm paused, while I'm in this season, whatever season of my life I'm in, every time something's removed, every time something's given, I thank God. I don't know what I'm thanking him for. I know I'm thanking him for the breath in my lungs and the blood flowing through my veins and all of the several hundreds of millions of things that God does, and the things that he's working on in the background that I don't even know about, the people that he's removing for the reasons that I don't even know because I wasn't in the room, but God was, everything that he's doing, I'm thanking him for it. And even when I'm like, oh, I really like this person. Oh, I really like this job. Oh, I really like this thing. I'm still like, thank you, God. Like, listen, I might not understand the reason why, but I know that whatever the reason was, God knew better than I did. So I hope that you understand that even when life gets hard, you don't have to do it alone. And as long as God is with you, he got you.